The Age of Exploration, Christopher Columbus. Remember, as we go through this lesson, anytime you see a pencil, you need to stop and record those notes in your notebook. Anything with a pencil is going to show up on a knowledge check in the future. Today, you're going to have 4 vocabulary words: flora, fauna, pathogen, and Columbian exchange. You're also going to have to know who 2 people were. So at the end of this lesson, you should be able to tell who Christopher Columbus was and who Amerigo Vespucci was. So today we have 4 vocabulary words. The first vocabulary word is flora. Flora is plant life occurring in a particular region or time. So any type of flower or wheat or grass that grows or fruit is part of an area's flora, and this can change during the time period you're talking about as well. So that's why flora includes region or time. Similar to flora is fauna. Fauna is all animal life of any particular region or time. So when we're talking about fauna, we're talking about things like horses, deer, chickens, pigs, cow. Pathogens are infectious agents or biological agents that cause disease or illness to its host. So basically, pathogens are what make you sick. And then our last vocab word is the Columbian exchange. And the Columbian exchange is the exchange of flora, fauna, and pathogens between previously unconnected parts of the world that reshape societies in ways still evident today. And we'll go over that a little today and then further on Thursday. So quickly to review what you learned on your first exploration lesson, we know that Europeans were very interested in trade, and this caused them to explore, to travel to new parts of the world. They wanted to go to China to find things like silk and porcelain and trade for those things. They went to South Asia to find spices. India and Egypt had cotton cloth that Europeans were very interested in obtaining. And in West Africa, there was tremendous amounts of gold. And so Europeans wanted to find quick ways to get to other parts of the world. And this is part of our age of exploration. Now, different European countries were really interested in getting into this. Spain is one of those very famous countries that funded many explorers. In Spain, you have a brand new king and queen. This is King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. And in their reign, they've been able to successfully unite all of Spain so that it looks similar to how it looks today. And they were interested in expanding Spanish wealth, power, and influence. Being able to find quick ways to get to these eastern countries would certainly help to make Spain very wealthy. And so King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella were interested in finding faster and better ways to do these things. And so we have an explorer who presents them with an idea that he thinks he can do this. And this is Christopher Columbus. He's an Italian explorer, so he is not Spanish, he's actually Italian. But Columbus goes to Ferdinand and Isabella because he brought his ideas to many monarchs and leaders around Europe and was turned down. Christopher Columbus believed that the earth was a sphere, and contrary to popular opinion, many Europeans at the time also believed this. But Columbus knew that if the earth is a sphere, that if you start in Europe and sail west, you would eventually make it to the east. And he was correct in this assumption. So Columbus approached King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain with the idea that he could more quickly travel to the east by traveling west rather than all the way around Africa. And they agreed with him and gave him 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. They gave him a crew and funded his exploration trip, sailing west to get to the east. But Columbus made some mistakes. His first mistake is that he very seriously underestimated the distance between Europe and Southeast Asia. While he believed the Earth was a sphere, he believed it was a much smaller sphere than it actually is. So he miscalculated the amount of time that it would take to travel from the west to get to the east. It took so much longer that his crew actually began to run out of water and food and decided that they were very shortly going to mutiny, meaning they wanted to overthrow Columbus and return home. A second mistake Columbus made was that he was correct believing he could sail west to get east, except for the fact that there were two giant continents blocking the way. He would never be able to go directly to the east without sailing all the way around these two continents. And so Columbus was not going to be able to achieve his mission of finding a new way to make it to the east. But Columbus eventually lands in the Caribbean. He lands in the Caribbean Sea and believes that he has made his way to India and some southeastern islands, but he's actually not. He is right here to the south of North America. When he lands there, he's able to quickly conquer and suppress native people because of his superior weapons, think things like gunpowder, and superior resources that the Native Americans did not have. Columbus makes 3 trips from Europe to what is ultimately the New World and dies not understanding what he actually discovered. Columbus actually dies believing he found a passage to Southeast Asia. He was incorrect about this, however. What he actually did was he discovered 2 new continents. So the most important thing that Columbus did, if we were to boil it down to just a few things, is that he changes the world forever. So a few things, but an important thing. What Columbus does, notice we have a pencil here, so we want to make sure we write this down. He connects the old world, and we need to remember what the old world is. That's Europe. So he connects Europe and the New World, which is North and South America, for the rest of time. And this connection that Columbus creates is called the Columbian Exchange. That's the exchange of flora, fauna, and pathogens between previously unconnected parts of the world that reshape society in ways still evident today. So essentially, once Columbus makes this connection, Europe and North and South America begin to trade forever, and they never stop. We still see that trade today. More on this on Thursday. But you might be wondering, why are the New World not called after Columbus? The New World, North and South America, are actually named after an explorer named Amerigo Vespucci. And you can hear in the name Amerigo the word America. So North and South America are actually named after Amerigo Vespucci because he is the first explorer to come back realizing that he was not in Asia. In fact, he was in a whole new undiscovered part of the world called the New World. And so Vespucci came back to Europe, wrote about this idea that it wasn't Asia at all, that it was a brand new continent. It was published throughout Europe. This gave him the name Amerigo and America. And so North and South America, United States of America, are actually called after Amerigo Vespucci. And this is a pencil mark, so we need to remember to write this down. Tomorrow we're going to look at 2 explorers, Hernan Cortez and Francisco Pizarro, who further explored North and South America, the continents themselves, and changed the world in even more ways that we see today. Talk to you later.